you all are fine and safe. Let us come to the continuation of end of colonialism and the Cold War. Let us come to the continuation of topic, some examples of decolonization. Africa. Today we will discuss about Africa. Most of the colonies in Africa were under the British or French rule. Britain was prepared to grant independence on its large colonies in Asia after 1945. France did not wish to lose its African colonies. The imperialist countries directly controlled the coastal regions of their African colonies where the main harbors were situated. They appointed tribal chieftains to rule over the interior regions. Africans were not interested in developing modern education to create an indigenous educated middle class. So they established very few primary or higher education institution in the country, which was mainly employed in the railways, mines, and harbors. This class began fighting for its right after 1945. However, these struggles did not develop into nationalist freedom movements because the working class was spread across the entire continent. The result was that the working class developed a brotherhood and unity in their struggle against imperialism. Among the African colonies, none of those under French rule had established self government up to 1956. The French defeat in Vietnam changed the situation in Africa. In that same year, the Algerian people launched a war of liberation against France that continued until 1958. When Algeria was granted independence, in Egypt, the nationalist government took over control of a major transport, the Suez Canal in 1956, which led France to join hands with Britain to attack it. In 1958, France announced independence to whichever country wanted. Many colonies voted independence from France, but some smaller countries wanted to stay with France. By 1960, they signed treaties with France under which the France would continue to play an important role in areas such as defense, education, and economic development. The main reason for their continued dependence on France was that these countries lack proper leaders. So they felt they needed France support until they could achieve stability. Britain was reducing its expenditure on its colonies because it was passing through difficult economic crisis. In 1960, British promised independence to those colonies who want freedom. Large countries like Nigeria and Ghana accepted this proposal and gained their independence. The African people in these countries continued to have no political right even after independence was declared because they were ruled by their white minorities who adopted apartheid policies. The history of the African colonies and their freedom struggles thus had their own special characteristics. So the government formed after they gained independence. African freedom struggle was the absence of a strong middle class and a strong merchant capitalist class. Lack of educational opportunities prevented the growth of middle class while merchant class could not emerge because all traders and natural mineral resources were controlled by foreign companies. Nigeria. Population wise, Nigeria is the largest country in Africa with the population of 17 crore people. The British combined the regions around the Niger River to establish their dominion. The northern part of Nigeria was dominated by the Hausa, Fulani tribal, which was Muslim. The southeastern part was ruled by the Ibo tribe, while the southern part was under the control of the Yoruba tribe. The main income of these tribes came from the cultivation of palm oil, cotton, and other commercial crop. Herbert Macaulay founded the Nigerian Democratic Party in 1923. In 1936, Namdi Azikiwe laid the foundation of the Nigerian youth movement. He wanted to unify all the tribes residing in the region under a single Nigerian identity. In 1945, the labor movement declared a national general strike. The Nigerian had two challenges. First was to fight against colonial rule, and the second was to unite many tribes. Thus, the nationalist movement in these three regions was led by the regional parties in 1950. They included the Northern People Congress in the north, the National Council for Nigeria in the east, and the Action Group in the south. My dear students, our next topic is about freedom and a weak democracy. Aware of a growing non-violent democratic nationalist movement, the British decided to grant independence to Nigeria on October 1st, 1963, with Namadi Azikiwe as the first president. Unfortunately, the new government could not hold the country together and a civil war soon broke out. In 1966, military rule was established, many killed. Many attempts were made to re-establish a civilian rule and a democratic government, but they were all unsuccessful. The military government worked with the multinational oil corporation, as a result of which Nigeria witnessed widespread corruption and suppression of civil rights. Nigeria elected a democratic government in 1999. Now let us discuss about Cold War and the dissolution of USSR 1945 to 1992. In 1945, the USSR, the United States of America, Britain, and other countries together defeated Germany and Japan. USSR believed in communalism and wanted to propagate the socialist ideology. It believed that a communist state would reduce inequalities in society by taking over control of a country's resources and using them for the benefit of people. America, on the other hand, believe in encouraging private enterprise, with the individual having the freedom to acquire and use all resources to meet the needs of society. The two global superpower, with the USSR becoming a symbol of communalism and America a symbol of capitalism. America had the upper hand because it proposed nuclear weapons, but USSR also acquired these weapons after 1950. The world saw rapid economic growth from 1945 to 1970. Tension continued between the two superpowers, but it did not lead to the outbreak of war. For example, a permanent state of war existed between North and South Korea and North and South Vietnam after these countries were bifurcated in 1950 and 1954 respectively. USSR supported the northern fractions in both countries, while America came support to southern fractions. A similar situation was created in the bifurcation of India and Pakistan, USSR supporting India and America supporting Pakistan. Both countries developed nuclear weapons in ever larger quantities. The intellectual classes extended their support to world peace movement. The President of America and the USSR, Ronald and Mikhail, signed a nuclear disarmament treaty. The capital of Iceland and Washington, the capital of America. This treaty brought an end to the war, to the Cold. Apart from America and USSR, other countries were also forced to spend their resources on preparing weapons instead of developing themselves and improving the lives of their people. Thus, the majority of the countries, including USSR, were economically distributed. Soviet Russia could not survive this happening and unexpectedly collapsed in December 1991 when it was officially dissolved. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the terrorist treat to the world and close the Cold War. Okay, thank you, my dear students. We have completed this chapter. Hope you all understood this chapter. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you so much.